All right, all right, all right. Fire them up. We go live in 5.
Proceed with the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Make like a
3, 2,
tree. Get out.
1.
Son of a bitch!
And here we go.
All right, everybody, welcome back to yet another edition of Real Rants. I am DJ.
I'm Todd.
I'm Vern.
And today we're actually going to talk about Ready Player One. And for a change, we actually see this movie and are reviewing it when it's actually out. We're not waiting fucking 2 weeks to do this shit. We need to start doing this more.
We don't want to set a high precedence like that for ourselves.
Yeah, no high expectation. When we do Avengers, that'll be a full month after we've seen the movie. But yeah, so we just saw Ready Player One on Wednesday, which would have been at the time of this recording 2 days ago. And just right off the bat, let's get some general thoughts. Todd, what did you think about it? Just general, non-spoilerish thoughts about the movie.
It was a lot of fun. I really liked it. I can't say I had low expectations going in because I really didn't have any expectations going in. I knew little bits and pieces about the story from like the book prior. And that was about it. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a ton of fun. And I don't like to use the word fun to describe movies because I feel that's a crutch. Like it wasn't that good, but it was fun. But legitimately, that's what I felt when seeing this. I thought it was a good story, and I thought it was just a ton of fun to watch.
Vern.
I loved it. If that's surprising. I thought it was great, basically because of a lot of things in the film took me back to when I was a kid. From all the characters, right down to like the merchandising. It was great. I'm glad that it was a film based in Ohio.
Yeah, well, pretty close to home.
Yeah, get some Ohio love in Hollywood.
Yeah, Columbus, Ohio, of all things. So I go, wow, if that's what the future's going to look like, whoa, we're in big trouble.
They could have actually saved some money and based it in Cleveland and not had to do any special.
Yeah, it would have been pretty much the same.
Yeah. But found some trailers.
But, like I said, I really loved it. I enjoyed it. I haven't had a chance to read the book yet, but I want to read the book, even after this. So that's kind of the hard thing if a movie is based on a book, whether if you want to see it before or after you read it.
Yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed this movie. I'm not going to go I'm not going to go as far as to say I loved it, like really, really loved it, but I really, really liked it. And it was just like Todd said, I hate using the word fun, but it was pure Spielberg. It's like if you took pure Spielberg and just pure nostalgia and just jammed them into a blender and then you just drank it down while on a roller coaster while on acid. But no, it was such a fun ride of a movie. And I can't really touch upon anything different than what you guys have already brought up about the nostalgia of it. But even looking past that, if you look past just the nostalgia part, it was a really good story. Like there was a good story behind it. And I just loved the characters. I thought the motivations were good. I'm glad it wasn't for once, I'm glad it wasn't like a violent kind of movie. You know what I mean? Like, you're not seeing Ben Mendelsohn's character or any other character get, like, killed. Or if they are killed, it's all just in video game form. And I kind of like that aspect of it. It felt, like you said, it made you kind of feel like a child again watching it. It brought all those emotions back up. Like, you kind of felt like a kid, like a big kid watching the movie. And I really liked it. But before we jump into spoiler discussions with the movie, and I do want to kind of bring up this sort of the negative feedback that this movie is already getting, which is there seem to be a lot of people. It's not a lot of people, but you do have those ones, the ones on the internet that will beat their drums that it's not like the book, so therefore the movie blows.
Are they the ones like, this story is just a disgrace to the rest of the comic book world and video games that I like to play?
Very much, and sounding just like that.
Meanwhile, rally ourselves out of the basements to against this movie and pity it for all the wrongdoings.
It's like Quasimodo sitting next to me.
Shit. Yes, Vern. Let the hate flow through you.
And I get that. I get to a point. I get that because people, especially if you're
attached,
if you've read a book and your book, when you read a book, you're going off of your own imagination.
Yeah.
With all of that, you're picturing all this, so you're getting very attached to these characters and the plot line they're going through, and I understand that.
But there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
In a movie, and I'm pretty sure they didn't want to potter it, as I call it.
Yeah.
Or Lord of the Rings it.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings stayed really close to the books too.
Yeah, and I always feel when there's an adaptation of something that there's room for adjustment. I know DJ's brought up like Jurassic Park. There's so much different from the book than in that movie. But Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies.
I keep forgetting that's a book.
Yeah.
It was written in 1990 and the movie came out in 93.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that. You kind of, I feel, even if you're attached to something, you have to kind of expect there's going to be difference in a film adaptation or a TV adaptation, any kind of story like that.
Well, it seemed to have reached this point with fandoms now where if it's not 100% what you're expecting it to be going in, that the movie is a colossal failure. And Last Jedi is a prime example of that. And now it seems to be happening with Ready Player One on a smaller scale. But it's like nobody can just take things for as it is. Now, you hit the key word that I was going to bring up, and that's adaptation. The movie is an adaptation of the book. That means it doesn't necessarily need to be or follow 100% what the book or source material, if it's not a book, it doesn't need to follow that verbatim. It can kind of do its own things, which I have no problems with. I've read books and have gone to see the movies based off of them, but I understand that as long as they kind of keep what the core message of the story is about and they keep the heart of the story in there, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, V and Vern get that a lot with like the comic book movies.
Yeah, and those are big ones. Comic books, they're kind of all over the place. What Marvel's doing now, they just had a movie out called Civil War. That was literally, I mean, they took a whole almost a year arc or 2-year arc and crammed it into 2 hours, and it still didn't even turn out the way it was in the comic book. So you kind of gotta temper your expectations for movies like these when they are adaptations. And you brought up Jurassic Park. That's the one I always bring up because I saw the movie first and I went back and read the book and was shocked how different the book was. And I mean, difference. The movie, I mean, they're still close, but the book does a lot more. It expands a lot more. They do a lot more stuff, some of which they actually saved for the sequels. For the movies, but it's just one of those deals. Like, you gotta just learn to just, as 38 Special, the band, once said in one of their songs, oh yeah, I'm deep cutting this reference. You gotta hold on loosely. Hold on to your fandoms loosely. And when adaptations come out, don't just kind of go in with tempered expectations. If you're going in expecting the moon, chances are you ain't gonna get it. Something's gonna let you down.
It's not made of cheese?
No.
Damn.
It's made of barbecue sauce.
Oh, even better.
I don't know how.
That's horrific.
I'm bringing my chicken McNuggets then.
Ranch dressing. But I mean, no, that's all I kind of wanted to say about just touching upon that. Kind of there seems to be like this like internet backlash that I've been seeing towards it on a smaller scale, not Last Jedi level. That was like fucking threat level. That was like 2 minutes to midnight level. Like holy shit, we're about to self implode here.
Giant squid flying into New York City.
Fucking Cthulhu.
The nerd Cthulhu coming in.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
All right, now's the portion where we're going to jump into spoilers for the movie. So if you have not seen the movie, please kindly just end
pause the video, go to your local movie theater, watch the film, come back, and then spend some time with us.
Yes. Go support your local theater. Go give them your hard-earned money. Those hard-working individuals, they deserve it.
Damn it, go see the movie so you can complain about it.
Yeah, go see it so you can bitch. Go see the movie, come back, finish the rest of the discussion, and see where you lie if you agree or disagree with what we have to say.
All right, first thing, what's the movie about? Dead silence.
Oh.
All right. So
See, I figured you were just going to go into it there.
We're waiting on you there, Chief.
That stellar intro.
That's like leading the charge. Let's go get them. Okay, you guys go first.
All
I'm
right.
behind you.
All right, so
all the way.
All right, so back me up here. So the movie's basically about this kid named Wade Watts, who is kind of a down on his luck kind of kid. And
lives in this dystopian future.
Right. To escape misery, everybody seems to go in this place called Oasis, which is basically a virtual reality of pretty much anything.
Yeah, it's
and no, Maurice, not the band. Sorry.
it's pretty much if you mix virtual reality with like an MMO.
Right.
Yes.
And everyone picks their own avatars, and everyone looks crazy.
And then there's rules, and of course, like regular RPG games or any game possible. You earn coins. You get you can get unlimited artifacts. Is that what it was? What they were called? Artifacts?
I think they were artifacts.
Oh yeah. And there were special artifacts as well. I mean, we see guys who are surfing, who are racing, battling robots and big wars.
Yeah, it's like the Gears of War planet.
Yeah, like literally anything you can do video game wise.
Right.
You could do it all in the Oasis.
Well, Wade Watts goes into this world, escaping his reality, where he meets his friend who he hasn't actually met in real life.
It's like the real internet.
Yeah, it's like real life.
It's like the world.
Art imitating life.
Well, the whole premise is of is the creator of Oasis, which I have no idea. I can't remember what the name was.
Halliday. Halliday.
Halliday.
Jim Halliday, I think his name was.
Had passed away, and he had left three keys, or was it three keys?
3 keys.
Okay, and he's left 3 keys for anyone to try to find if they pass certain tests. From my understanding, the tests are kind of different in the book from the book into the movie. I'm stumbling here, as you can tell. So, if they find these 3 keys, then they get a chance of becoming basically God.
Yeah,
of the reality.
The overlord of the Oasis.
It's pretty much a will for him. It's like whoever gets these 3 keys and passes a final little test gets his stock in the company, gets like $1 trillion.
They get everything.
Yeah, they essentially win everything now.
So
it's kind of like Willy Wonka-esque in a way. Like,
pretty much.
Yeah.
I think even in one of the trailers they used pure imagination.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
As like a music cue.
So everybody's gunning for these keys and trying to find this so they can become God, including the corporation IOI. Mm-hmm. So, which I keep wanting to call 101.
Because it's binary.
IOI. And the whole thing is try to do get the keys before they will. So, because basically they just wanted to put advertisement.
Advertisements or destroy everything.
Yeah, basically get the corporate claws into it and just bleed it and stuff like that.
So
get money out of it.
Think AOL in the beginning when you started getting all the spams. So basically, you're trying to beat AOL.
Yeah.
That's how you sum up this movie.
Yeah,
Down on his luck teenager tries to beat AOL. You can quote me on that.
Tries to stop his video games from getting pop-up ads in the middle of them, is essentially.
So basically, the quest is for the keys to become God of the virtual reality world. That's pretty much the premise.
That's pretty much the whole plot.
Look, I know. Why didn't you say that sooner, Vern? I don't know. Bear with me.
But okay, so let's dive into. We don't have to dive into great detail about what each challenge was, but let's start with the first one, which was the race,
right,
to get the first key. Wherein the twist with that challenge was, now I can't remember what the actual lines that they said in the movie were, but everybody's racing to finish this race, and in the meantime, like, they're dodging the goddamn T-Rex from Jurassic Park, they're dodging King Kong, like, they're dodging all this other really cool shit, but nobody can ever finish this race. And it's not until Wade figures it out. It's Wade, right? Okay,
yeah, Wade.
Yeah. He goes back. He looks. It's interesting because he always goes back to, like, what the things that Halliday treasured in his life.
Yeah.
So it's really, the more you know Halliday, the better you're at these trials, these challenges, and everybody
seemed to know him. Like, everybody seemed to know everything about this guy.
They specifically say to everyone, like, fanboys over him in the 80s.
And they, and what they would do is, the way they kind of learned about him was, he basically had his entire memory almost in a library where you can go to and pull up different moments of his life and watch them in a 3D recreation of what was going on at the time. And they set it up in the movie where everybody started to do this, but then as time went on, they just sort of left it alone because they couldn't find what they were looking for in there. But Wade,
they say it's 5 years before he releases the challenge, and then
something like that
before someone finds the first key.
Yeah, because they had been looking for it.
I can't remember if it was 5 or 10.
It's a pretty decent number. A couple years.
But Wade ends up finding a clue in one of the memories that that was there that nobody had actually, like, looked for prior. Like, they didn't hang around long enough to hear what the clue was. And the clue was about going backwards. And so in the race, it's not about trying to win it and go... Well, it's obviously it's about winning it, but it's not about going forwards. You have to go backwards.
Go back.
So when everybody takes off the line, he's sitting there and he just hits reverse and ends up going backwards.
Something just hit me that I realized that they talk about going back in time, and he's driving the DeLorean.
And he's driving the DeLorean at the time.
At first, it was kind of funny because he's like, "Yeah, it'd be kind of cool to go backwards like Bill and Ted," and I'm just like, "Okay." And I thought there was going to be I thought there was going to be more to it than that, but it wasn't.
Bill and Ted did it. That scene had in general had a bunch of just to go into some of the nostalgia of that scene alone is all the vehicles that were in there.
I can't even keep up. I can keep up watching all the
Wade
vehicles.
Wade drives a DeLorean, and Artemis shows up on the bike from Akira, which is rad.
Yes.
And
what's the
H uses Bigfoot, the monster truck.
And they had the '60s Batmobile, and
It was in there, yeah.
the Speed Racers Mach 5 was in there briefly.
I didn't see it. I was looking for it.
It's when they were all lined up in the beginning.
Okay.
You briefly see it sitting there.
The first time you see the T-Rex, you see...
Well, your eyes are all over the place because it's so battle...
It's really chaotic.
It really fucking attacks, like, your visual sense. You're like, what the hell's going on? Like, I had trouble at one point keeping up with what the hell was going on because everything was moving
so fast.
It was
so
intense.
all,
like, CGI effects. Like, you couldn't tell what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
So, but you kind of got used to it. I mean, they kind of... I think... I shouldn't say get used to it, but I think that was maybe the direction choice for the time because it's right at the start of the race. So everybody's jumbled together, so it is chaotic. Mm-hmm. And then once people started pulling away, then it kind of opened up a little bit more, and you could kind of see a lot more what was going on.
Well, he had to start at the back of the race because I guess he didn't have enough power to stay in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, I thought he purposely chose to stay back there so he could get his coins.
Well, he wanted his coins,
so he could use it to get the power towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So instead of using all the power up front, he chose to stay back so he could build up from other people's coins and then use it to go.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. Yeah, so from there, we went into the second challenge. Obviously, there's more things that happen from here to there. Yeah. But second challenge...
Which this was one of our categories later about favorite nostalgia moments. We're going into the second challenge, so I'm gonna call an audible here, and I'm gonna bring up my favorite nostalgia moment from this. And right away, it's the challenge. I can't remember verbatim what it said, but it was towards the end. It was something about a creation that is hated by its creator that they had to go into to find the next key. So immediately, what I started thinking of was Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking story wise, like, oh, it's Victor Frankenstein created this thing, and now he ends up hating it. But then they're scrolling through because they start going through what's his name?
Halliday's memories.
They start going through his memories.
His favorite movies.
Yeah, and his movies.
Well, they talk about a woman in his past.
Yes.
Named Kira. Who actually went on to marry like his business partner Og, and so he goes on about, well, I went on a date with her. We went to the movies, and so our main crew has to figure out what movie they went to, and it's all based in a clue that they got when they got the first key. About he had a past regret, and so they have to figure out what movie he owes, and that's where that clue comes in.
And so, at first, like I said, I thought it was going to be Frankenstein. Well, as they're scrolling through movies in his memory database, here comes The Shining. and it clicked in my head. Because then, as I was thinking it, they said it in the movie about a creator that hates his creation because Stephen King wrote the book, but then hated the movie because he hated what Stanley Kubrick did to it.
I think I heard your happiness from the other end of the seats because I was like opposite.
You were literally 2 or 3 seats down from me.
And it's like, and I heard you talk about it like the other guys. Was like,
I literally had an out loud moment like, "Oh shit, that's right!" Like And then they go in. It's the music from the movie. They actually recreated the
lobby,
the dining room or the big hall room or wherever it is where Jack is typing on the typewriter. And what's cool is they actually emulated some of the shots from the movie. So when they're going up to the typewriter, it's that low angle looking as they're looking over the typewriter that is pure from the movie when Shelley Duvall is coming over and looking to read what's on the typewriter. And I just fucking loved it. And then instead of all work and no play, Jack Doll Boy being typed over and over again, it's different. It's the different keys that are being typed out. And
it's the timer.
And it's the timer that's going.
Yeah.
Well, H then runs into the twins, the little twin girls. Oh my god!
Just think about being in a movie that you're looking in from the outside, but the characters, some of the characters doesn't really realize what the movie is all about.
I think H had never seen the movie specifically.
He said, H said that
she doesn't do scary movies.
Yeah. And so,
of course, you see H get destroyed by this movie.
It's the one thing that you don't really do in horror movies that you're really not supposed to do in horror movies, and that's break away from your party. Because you know that's when all kinds of madness is going to happen. Good, delicious madness.
So H goes to follow the twins. The twins go into the elevator. And H goes over to try to follow them. Well, then all the blood starts coming out of the elevator, and it washes them all down the hallway. Well, then H takes sanctuary in a room that opens up, where, it opens up and it lets H in and closes the door. Well, it just turns out to be room 237. And so here comes, the chick out of the tub and everything like that. And then it turns into the old lady. Except they went a little bit further with it, where the old lady then just tries, to stab her. And then, axes coming through the door. And it's like, holy shit. Then it kind of becomes a little bit more video gamey. And then...
they switch it up a bit.
Yeah. And, with the... They eventually go into... to find Kira... the leap not taken.
His regret.
It was the regret, and it was a dancing scene in the gold room from The Shining, which was cool because it was playing the end music from the movie, which is Midnight and the Stars and You. And again, because I'm such a Shining freak, the shot where they're all coming down the hallway, and then how it pans, or then how it kind of dollies to the right to reveal them going into the room, same as in The Shining. I know Spielberg threw that in there because him and Kubrick were really good friends growing up in the industry, and I know he probably wanted to stay as close to Kubrick as possible with some of those shots, and I fucking loved it. How he was able to emulate almost perfectly some of those shots, and it was just beautiful. That whole part kind of lost me a little bit with the zombies dancing around with Kira and everything like that.
Again, I think it just kind of
platforming from.
Yeah, I think it's just a switch up from. I think it's just another switch up that they had.
Yeah.
And plus, movies. You got to put zombies in the movie somehow.
Yeah. Well, I think it was just okay, here's all the dead people. It was essentially another point where it was more like a video game.
Yeah.
So you had to kind of platform across these zombies, get to Kira, and Artemis is the one who does it first.
And get the key.
Get the key by essentially
asking her to dance.
Yeah, asking her to dance what Halliday never did in real life. So it's acting on his big regret, and that's how they get the second key.
And the third key is, we don't need to go super in depth into this one because it's fairly simple. It's hidden in one of the original Atari games called, what was it called?
Adventure.
And the object is not to find it. It's not to beat the game. It's actually to play it and find the secret room, to find the hidden dot.
I really liked as a challenge of you get it by just exploring and playing.
Yes,
and
I thought that was cool.
It's a throwback in general to the first ever Easter egg in a video game or anything like that. Is if you do this, it brings up the creator's name of the game, which I absolutely love as a final challenge.
Yeah, I liked that too. I liked that little nod at the end, or the little nod for that last challenge.
See, I was disappointed. I was hoping it would be be ping pong.
Yeah. Well, I guess one of the challenges in the book is he has to play a perfect game of Pac-Man.
Wow.
And that's actually, I think, in the book where he gets the quarter. It's from doing that.
See, now I can understand. I can see the change there.
I think it's the first challenge in the book is Pac-Man.
I kind of like the way the movie did it a little bit more. There was a little more meaning behind it, I think, instead of it just being, it's a Pac-Man challenge. there's like you said, it's a little bit more in-depth meaning about, it's not about the end result, it's about the journey. And, and I think I like that a little bit more now hearing what the actual difference was. Although I think in the book there's
the challenges. I'm not sure because I never read the book, but the research I did, the challenges, I don't remember what the third was. I think the second one, like I said, instead of The Shining, it's War Games with Matthew Broderick.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he has. I think he has to say like verbatim, like the only way to win is to not play the game, stuff. So it's stuff like that. I think the challenges are similar and different at the same time.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the adventure reference is a lot better than the War Games. A lot of youngsters, I don't think they would get the War Game reference.
Yeah, that's why I pretty much parallel the Shining part with the War Games part.
Yeah, Shining is a little bit more part of the lexicon.
It's less 80s, which is, again, what everything celebrates in this movie.
Well, it was 1980. The movie was made in 1980. Right. But, it was probably filmed in 79 and released in 80. But I just think when people, I think, know what The Shining is more than, like, the average person.
You're saying the average person doesn't know War Games starring Matthew Broderick?
I think there are a lot that do, but I think if you were to go take a poll right now in downtown, people would know what The Shining is, and they may not know what War Games is right off the bat. They'd probably think it's some kind of Harrison Ford, Jerry Bruckheimer.
Get off my games.
But okay, so that's the three. We went through the three challenges. Let's kind of dive into, because we're already at the half-hour mark here. I don't want to keep this going.
All right,
let's talk about some of the characters.
Yeah. Let's go to the characters. First, let's start off with Wait Watts, who's played by Ty Sheridan.
What was his gamer tag? It
was like Percival.
Yeah.
Was because it's like the knight who's looking for the Holy Grail.
And he is. We were trying to figure out who he was, and we didn't realize at the time that he was actually the kid who played Scott Summers, which is Cyclops in the X-Men movie. And
yeah, he was in Days of Future Past,
right,
or not Days Apocalypse. Specifically Apocalypse.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that you don't recognize an actor. Like, we're looking at his face, it's just like, wow, where do we know this guy from? And he kept on putting on the goggles. So I'm pretty sure he's perfect. Wait, Watts is like, oh, you put this on your face before. It's like, that has blast beams. Yeah.
And he did a good job. He was likable as Wade Watts. Good lead. Yeah, we were even talking earlier about just how many unknowns are in this movie compared to, like, big names out there.
Yeah.
That there was only like two bigger names that we could even think of off the top of our heads.
Right. Simon Pegg was one of them.
And T.J. Miller was the other.
Yes. Yeah. Well, T.J. Miller is he's such a great actor, but I mean, he's done a lot of voice acting as well. So
yeah, I got him right away. The first words he said, I was like, oh, that's a T.J. Miller.
And if you don't know who T.J. Miller is, he is basically... if you ever seen the movie Deadpool, he
plays Weasel.
Yeah, he's the barkeep.
Yeah.
He's the insane barkeep.
And I believe, I might be wrong, but wasn't he also in Cloverfield?
I think he was.
Wasn't he the friend in Cloverfield?
I can tell you I haven't seen that movie in like forever.
Because I think that's where he kind of got his start.
Yeah, I think it was. He was also in one of the Transformers movies. I want to say the fourth one.
Oh, is he the one who sold him out?
Yeah, and he gets like incinerated or some shit. I don't know. They all blur together.
But anybody that's listening to this, all 50 of you, you probably know him more from Deadpool. That's probably where he's a little bit more notable.
Yeah, he does a lot of voice work too. So you recognize his voice before his face.
The other one I'll bring up too, we're talking about more noticeable people. The one who played the villain, his name is Ben Mendelsohn. Not so much over here in the States recognizable. I believe he's a bigger star over in England. But if you're seeing this movie, you may recognize him from Rogue One, the Star Wars movie. He played Director Krennic, the kind of chief villain of that movie. But yeah, the rest were kind of unknowns. I don't except the guy who played Halliday. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the actor's name. Let me bring it up here.
I had looked him up before, and I really couldn't find
Mark Rylance. And he's one of those actors, especially recently, I'd say maybe in the past 5 or 6 years, you know his face, you probably just don't know his name. He's been in other Spielberg movies recently. He played, they used a digital version of him as the big friendly giant in BFG. He was in...
Is that what BFG? I've never seen the film, so I think of like BFG from Doom.
Oh, the big fucking gun.
Well, you'll see him again in a Captain Marvel movie next year.
Okay.
So he's in that.
He did a good job.
And he was also in Bridge of Spies. That's where I remember him from, because he did an excellent job as the
I liked
Russian spy.
His character was interesting because he was like a cross between like just kind of like social anxiety, like kind of just kind of shut-in nerd, and almost vague mental disorder.
Yeah. Kind of reminded me of a cross between like Bill Gates and Garth from Wayne's World.
That's a good
like smart but just really awkward.
Very bizarre.
Yeah.
But I liked him. He was a likable character, and of course like his avatar is like the grand wizard kind of thing. And
I thought I could have swore when I looked at his character, like I said before, I could have swore his character looked like Superman.
No, you're thinking of Ben Mendelsohn.
You're thinking of
Did we switch stations? So I was looking at my phone.
Yes. Yeah, we're talking about Halliday.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, his kind of looked more like you said, a Grand Wizard. Not KKK Grand Wizard.
Kind of more
like Gandalf.
More Gandalf the Grayish.
I'm out.
Yes, let me grab my hood.
But let's see. You had Artemis.
Artemis.
Who was she's another one of the Gunthers, which are the people who are always looking for the big Easter egg
to make life more easier for everybody else. She was part of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Let me say this about her too. I always hate when movies are like when they build up a character, especially like when they do it with this, like we're like, oh well, you meet me in person, you might be disappointed. And she's pretty in real life,
right.
And it's like, what the fuck is there to be disappointed of?
She's got low self-esteem
because of the birthmark.
Yeah, because she got a big birthmark on her face.
She got that big Zuko birthmark from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I get the low self-esteem part, but I think was just like, damn,
I think it plays into like why people don't use their real names on the internet a lot, like a real life kind of thing almost, is because you almost don't want anyone to know you past this persona you've created. So
I was more surprised with H than
I was more surprised with H.
We can get into H too, because when Wade's like, oh, I want to meet Artemis in real life, I love her, whatever, and H, who's Wade's Percival's best friend, is like, no man, that's not a good idea. You know, it could be a 300-pound dude living in a basement named Chuck
in Detroit.
I forgot it was specifically in Detroit. And so, but the whole time is, you know, H's avatar is this big like cybernetic hulking dude. And they meet and Wade and H meet in real life, and it turns out that H is Helen, and she's a black woman in like her 30s, played by, I can't remember the actress's name, but she's in Master of None. Lena Waithe? Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, she's in Master of None, and I thought it was really cool.
That was a fun switch. When I saw it, I'm like, oh, I didn't see that one coming.
And they realize who each other are because they just start saying stuff that they say all the time to each other. And you get their other two clanmates are Dido and Sho.
Yes, and Sho is the little boy, right? Who's like 11 years
Sho,
old.
yeah.
I'm an 11-year-old boy.
Who again fits into that, like, I don't want anyone to know who I really am.
Yeah.
Because I'm an 11-year-old boy and everyone's going to judge me accordingly.
Ninjas don't hug.
I did like that they were a samurai and a ninja, respectively.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, Dido and Shoto are swords that go together in Japanese culture a lot. So
That's cool.
Oh,
they are always hanging out because they're named after the swords that hang out.
Yeah, Phil Zhao, he played Sho. This was like his very first gig.
I would believe it, but yeah, he was really. His character is quiet most of the time. He doesn't really talk.
He's a ninja.
Yeah, and then like they said, they need him in real life, and he's like, "Oh, I'm an 11-year-old boy." Okay.
But okay, effects. How did you like the effects of this movie? Going in and out of the game world and stuff like that.
It's interesting because it looked real and not real at the same time. The CG effects, which I feel was partially done on purpose because it makes it feel more of the aesthetics of you're in a game.
Yeah.
You have to remember that you're in a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like some of the characters, like their avatars, look just a little off. Like Percival kind of looks like a Final Fantasy character, which is great.
Well, that's like in the intro when they talk about how they talk about their avatars, and you see like the different types of avatar, and then you see like everybody looks more mean, serious, or solid, and then you see Marvin Martian run.
When you get it, it's like a lot of like Artemis looks kind of like a pixie character, and it goes into like you could be whatever you want to be. But yeah, I think a lot of the effects were like a little flawless, or not. I won't say a little. They were flawed, but I think it was almost done to a degree on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I completely agree with that because that's something I picked up on when I was watching the movie too. Is that at times it's obviously CGI. Video game looking very distinct, you could just tell, but there are other times the CGI was so good that you almost forget that you're looking at a computer generated person, and it's actually your brain is almost like, that almost looks real, like standing there. It's almost like the uncanny valley moment.
Yeah, you get a little uncanny valley.
I think you're right. I think they did it on purpose, only because I'm thinking about the scene where they kidnapped, when they hijacked the head honcho of IOI, and they had to make it look real, and like he was in his place.
Yeah,
and yeah. Now that I think about it, I think you're right. I think you're right about that because it's just it looked like it was in the real world, and even he was tricked.
Yeah.
Until he saw the reflection.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought the effects were really good. At first, like I said, that first race, it was a little sketchy with me because everything was kind of like clusterfucked because of that. Because I was like,
that's insane.
Sensory overload.
And that's like right in the beginning.
Yeah, but then things calmed down. I think one of my favorite effects moments, not going into the nostalgia part, but the nightclub scene, where they're all kind of dancing around. Number one, I love the song Blue Monday. It's pure 80s. I fucking love that. And they picked the right scene for it. But I love that whole, the look of that whole scene. And in a way, it almost felt very like spy-ish too, because you have Wade's character there meeting Artemis, and then you have T.J. Miller's character, IROC, who was sent from the head honcho of IOI there to find out information on Wade's character, or I can't remember if he was sent there to kill him. No, he was sent there to kill him.
He was, I think, a little of both to find information.
But he came back with information because he couldn't kill him.
Right. By the way, I loved IROC's avatar. I think he was the best.
This is the coolest looking one.
Avatar.
I like it because he's obviously such a dorky guy. He has this like really intimidating avatar.
But I love at the end when they're about to blow everything up, and he looks at the main villain. He's like, "Whoa, dude, seriously?" He's like, "That's a total camper move." He's like, "Don't do it. I got 10 years of shit worth built up in this thing."
Oh, he had the coolest gun.
Just pull the trigger and the skull head opens and fires out.
Fires like a plasma shot.
But yeah, his character was great. Got
10 years worth of stuff.
And that was the other thing that's great, that was funny too, about when you died in the game, you would die and just leave around a bunch of coins. Coins were like your lifeblood.
Yeah,
instead of somebody bleeding out with blood, they just bled out coins.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be kind of like in a video game or like an MMO. It's like somebody dies, they drop all their loot, and then whoever kills them can run over and claim that.
Right.
So it's the same kind of principle, except like somebody gets crushed and coins fly all over.
And all this is
like
kind
Scott Pilgrim is almost.
And they explain all this in the beginning so that you won't
it
forget.
doesn't take you by surprise at all, because they do a good job in the beginning. There's a handful of narration that sticks out a little, but it's not too bad.
It's expositionary narration to make you understand what you're about to see. Because if you didn't, you'd be like, "What the fuck is all this about?"
You'd be lost real quick.
Yeah. But so it's necessary to get out of the way.
They do a good job, and I believe when I looked it up that the guy who wrote the book, Ernest, I'm blanking on his last name, but I think he co-wrote the screenplay along with, I don't know if Spielberg did it or if he just directed, but he was a part of the screenplay for this.
Oh,
too.
okay.
Ernest Cline, Zach Penn.
So the fanboys have no reason to bitch when the creator himself opts for changes made in the movie based off his own creation. So fuck you, fanboys.
Well, that's not true, because we think he sold out like everybody else does. He just wanted the money.
Oh my god, I'm drowning. But I feel like this, really thinking about it, I never made the connection before. This movie is vaguely almost like Scott Pilgrim in a way.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot. It's obviously on a higher level than Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim was more cheeky references.
It's more of a romance.
Yeah, and this was more of like, there's a ton of stuff going on, where
Action,
Scott
adventure.
Pilgrim is just more of like a fight one-on-one, but there's a lot of similar kind of things in it.
And it's the hero's journey too. Very much the hero's journey. I mean, that's diving in deeper. We don't have time for that. So moving on, let's
get into our last.
Yeah, last thing. But I just want to mention the Zemeckis Cube.
Well, that's
what
we're
we can
getting
get
into.
right
into.
We're gonna get into what I call the nostalgia bomb area.
Yeah.
Where
but Vern just likes to jump the gun.
I do. I don't pay attention to anything.
So what we're gonna do here is
pay attention to these hands.
In this movie, there was, to put it lightly, a ton of nostalgia, especially for guys our age who grew up in the 80s, and it's just, there's so much in there. There's even a few modern day things.
Let's put it this way. There's so much nostalgia crammed into that movie that if you were to turn it into a drinking game and take a shot for every bit of nostalgic reference in that movie, you'd probably die 3 times over of alcohol poisoning. Because holy fuck, there is just a lot. Yeah.
So what we're gonna do here is we'll just go down and we'll each say what part of the movie made us freak out the most when we saw it. What made us nostalgia hard.
Okay, mine. I already got mine out of the way. So, it's nostalgia hard.
Wow. Okay.
Swing. Well, I already got mine out of the way. Mine was The Shining. That's where if any of you looked over at me at that moment, I was like, oh! I was like, oh my god, this is fucking brilliant. I don't know. I'm trying to think of any other, like, moment. Obviously, like, when the DeLorean showed up. I'm trying to think.
We'll go to Vern, because Vern has been trying to hold it.
Vern looks like Mount Vern about to erupt over here. He's like, God damn it! If you don't let me talk,
yeah.
I
DJ went over kind of that The Shining was kind of like your big moment.
The Shining and the DeLorean were probably my big moments in there. So okay, I will now cautiously pass the torch over to Vern. What were yours?
Oh my god, where do I start?
Okay, Todd, what was
yours? Well, no. I think me and Todd's are kind of the same thing.
They're around the close. I'm gonna say mine is the big one that really happened in the movie that you knew was coming, but it's 3 simple words, and it is Mobile Suit Gundam. Oh my goodness! And they Chekhov's gun this right in the beginning of the movie where they say, "Oh, I'm going for this artifact, and it lets me turn into any giant robot for 3 minutes." And you think it's going to go... The entire time they're kind of teasing the Iron Giant, and the Iron Giant comes into play. But in the climax of the movie, the big head honcho, the bad guy, comes out, and he takes out a power... He chooses a big robot to power armor, essentially. And it turns out to be goddamn Mechagodzilla. Which is awesome.
That's awesome in itself.
And they keep showing in this whole part, Dido is just by himself. He's not even in the game. He's just sitting there, waiting, and they keep yelling, "Dido, can get in?" And he waits for just the right moment, and then he activates that artifact, and he turns into the Mobile Suit Gundam. Which, if you're a fan of like anime or anything in any way, you know what a goddamn Gundam is.
But you have to tell him what he transported on.
Oh, yeah. Oh shit! I totally forgot. He transports in Serenity, in fucking Firefly, and then he like jumps out and he turns into a Gundam and he beam sabers the shit out of Mechagodzilla, and that is so rad.
I thought for a second with the Gundam, I didn't think the Gundam was gonna come. What I was thinking of, he was going to stay more in the Godzilla verse with that. I honestly thought Jet Jaguar was coming out.
I'll tell you what, in the original, in the book, I found this out. Instead of Gundam, which makes it even better that it's only 3 minutes, is he turns into Ultraman.
Ooh, nice.
Which is great, because Ultraman can only be Ultraman for 3 minutes. Because that's the kind of nerd I am. That I know Ultraman can only be Ultraman for 3 minutes. But yeah, that was the part. That was just everything else. Like I said, I freaked out a bit when Artemis pulled up on the Akira bike, which is really cool. And just a bunch of little things throughout. I was like, oh, that's really neat. You see like Tracer from Overwatch. You see Chun-Li for a moment, I think, in there somewhere.
And you see the turtles.
Yeah, the turtles are in there for a minute. But like it was like the Gundam got me. It was the coolest.
I know in that last battle I saw like Master Chief.
There was a whole army of Master Chiefs.
I saw Mech Warrior, which it was a big robot, had like the big like box guns on the side. Mm-hmm. That was an old game. There was a game called Mech Warrior. I thought briefly I saw Batgirl, and I thought briefly I saw Schwarzenegger as the like T2 Terminator with the fucking Gatling gun. I thought briefly I saw it. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. See,
now Vern really wants to say that.
We get
you
to
guys
yours,
can't even see him. He's
excitedly
like tapping his fingers together.
Before we get to yours, the one that was unexpected that I didn't laugh out loud really hard, but because it's hard for me to express emotion because I'm such a heartless guy. But when she fucked up Mechagodzilla with a fucking mad ball.
Yes!
Oh, I forgot about the mad ball.
I saw that. I'm like, is that a fucking mad ball? It's like, holy shit.
Like, I had one of those as a kid.
But okay, Vern.
All right, the first one I already mentioned, the Zemeckis cube. Only because after he solved the cube, like it's a Rubik's cube. After he solved the cubes, and then you hear the Back to the Future, and then you have 60 seconds.
Sends him back in time.
Times 60 seconds.
Yeah.
That was one other thing. But my all-time favorite thing was fucking Chucky.
Here, deal with this guy.
I was like, I can't believe they used Chucky in this movie, and it was hilarious. Now, the one thing that we didn't talk about is like how the IOI, like they have like these oodles of people
Sixers,
like these, these Sixers, like these army, and you know they're set. They're just set to go into virtuality at any given moment, and if they get killed, then somebody else replaces them.
They're essentially a constant inflowing army.
Yeah.
So when they threw, it was hilarious, and so they graphically said, once these people get killed, you can see them like their thing turns red, automatically red. So, but the thing that I love the most is their emotions and their expressions. Like there's like, oh my god, it's fucking Chucky, and you just see them all freak out. It's hilarious. I mean,
oh my god, yeah, that last battle was so good. That's where the references came in, and let's not forget the Twisted Sister song. We're not going to take.
Oh yeah,
they used the. I totally forgot until you talked about the Zemeckis cube, where he picks up a couple artifacts, and one of them's the holy hand grenade.
Yes, I
from
forgot to
Monty
mention
Python and the Holy.
I can't remember where that came from.
Yeah, from Monty Python.
Oh man!
I thought they were gonna have to. I thought he was gonna have to recite the thing with the holy hand grenade, like the rules to it. Like you must not throw it on something. I forgot what it was, but I was like, oh man, if he has to actually do that, that'd be badass.
I'm pretty sure somebody probably wanted him to, and they were just like, "There's just not enough time."
Yeah, we can't do it. It's good enough that it's just in there.
It's like because you're already reciting everything to try to disable the shield. So
yes. But yeah, my God, what a fun movie. We're rolling up on almost a full hour here right now.
So we'll start wrapping it up.
Let's wrap this up.
We'll stop fanboying over all our nostalgia for a couple minutes.
I can breathe now.
we can relax. But yeah, I think the overall consensus of the group is that this movie is just it's again, using the term fun. Should probably punch myself in the dick for saying it so much.
How about enjoyable?
Yes. It is. Like
you'll watch it and you will have a smile on your face. Yeah. Is really what I think we're getting at. Is that like it's not like a popcorn flick blockbuster that you're like, well, that was fun. Like it was enjoyable enough.
Like a shallow kind of blockbuster where there's not much depth to it. This
had enough heart in it, and it had enough story in it but like I said, you're watching it and you were having fun watching it. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this movie, if anything, is that you will watch this, especially if you're a child of the late 70s, the 80s, the early 90s. You're going to specifically have a lot of fun saying, I remember that. I get that reference. And you're just going to have fun watching the movie.
I thought there was also no better choice to direct it than Spielberg, who made his career in the most notable movies of his career came in the 1980s. Yeah. So if there's anybody that understands 80s culture more, or anyone who understands that culture, it would have been Spielberg.
I want to note that just with a Spielberg level, I when I was doing a little bit of research, I found out that he actually avoided putting a lot of his stuff in because he didn't want it to look like a vanity project.
Really?
Yeah, and the stuff that you see of his in there are because the production team really wanted it in there, so they sneak it in to try not to get in trouble.
And see, that makes me appreciate it even more because I thought he would have gone into there intentionally like, well, I have my hands over a lot of this stuff because he's produced a lot of shit too. Back to the Future.
Yeah, because I mean, I think he like Back to the Future was different, but you didn't see like Indiana Jones stuff in there. Really,
no, I was gonna say
you didn't see any like Star Wars stuff, really.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We didn't see any Star Wars. We didn't actually see Star Wars or any kind of superhero.
The Millennium Falcon was mentioned, but we never saw it.
And Batman you see briefly.
Briefly.
Yeah, it was climbing Mount Everest with Batman.
But you did see like Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember seeing Harley Quinn.
I feel that's more of a Warner Brothers thing than the Spielberg thing. But back to what you were saying. Just wanted to mention that aside.
But yeah, I thought Spielberg was a perfect choice to direct it because he's one of the only directors I think that could perfectly handle all that needs to come from special effects and action while still retaining the meat and bones of the story, which is the heart behind it.
I think Spielberg's good at juggling spectacle and like wonder and heart at the same time.
He knows he's done it for years. He knows what strings to pull when. He understands that the story above all, you can't have a movie without a story, and the story itself behind it was really good. I really liked it, and then everything else is just icing on the cake. All the nostalgia, because without that, when you strip that all away, there still needs to be something there that keeps you going from scene to scene, and I just thought the story was really well written.
I thought it was just one of those things that you can actually relate to.
Yeah.
It was basically classic Spielberg, but at the same time, of course, the story is that, we always look at each other and we're right in front of each other and we're always looking at our phones. And, sometimes we need to look up and realize that, reality is all around us, including if you had a reality warping machine, virtual reality. That sometimes you can do both, just try not to let one overwhelm the other.
It's the whole notion of, it's nice to have this video game world that you're in, but don't also forget that there is a real world, because like Holiday said in the movie, reality is the only place where everything is real. You can have everything you want in a video game, but it's not real.
Right.
The reality is where that's all at, and that's what the main message that really spoke to me in the movie.
I think that's where we should leave off.
And that is a perfect time to leave off, because we are currently at the IOI moment, 1 hour and 1 minute. But yeah, that'll wrap up our discussion for Ready Player One. Coming down the pipeline here really fast is Avengers, so that'll probably be our next one.
We'll have to do that a little bit afterwards.
Yeah.
I think we're coming back from our Cosmic Octopus trip to Las Vegas.
Yeah, we'll be going to Vegas for that.
You bums.
But I don't know, we might be able to see it there because it opens up on Thursday and we're still in Vegas Thursday.
Oh, maybe.
So we could actually see it there and then come back over the weekend and do a thing.
Might have to buy your tickets early.
Yeah. But, okay. So, alright, we're going to wrap this shit up. Thank you for listening. If you've listened this far, you've obviously have nothing better to do. So thanks for coming along on this ride with us. And remember to like and subscribe down below. Be kind. Share this around. Spread the love. I'm DJ.
I'm Todd.
I'm Vern.
Alright, we'll catch you guys later. Peace out.